The California dream is fraying at the seams. In the Golden State's two most iconic metropolises, Los Angeles and San Diego, a stark reality has taken hold. While tourists still flock to the beaches, a humanitarian disaster unfolds just blocks away. In Los Angeles, despite billions in spending, over 75,000 people remain without stable homes, a population larger than most American towns. South in San Diego, unsheltered homelessness has surged by 18% in a single year. From the retail theft wave shuttering businesses in Los Angeles to the riverbed encampments of San Diego, this is no longer just a policy failure. It is a full-blown civic emergency. This video uncovers the raw data, the human stories, and the economic strangulation defining the crisis in California's southern giants. Los Angeles, the magnitude of the machine. Los Angeles stands as the epicenter of the American homelessness crisis. The sheer scale of the numbers is difficult to comprehend without context. According to the 2024 Greater Los Angeles Homeless Count, the region is home to over 7,500 people experiencing homelessness. To put that in perspective, the unhoused population of Los Angeles County is larger than the entire housed population of cities like Wilmington, Delaware, or Palo Alto. While recent reports from 2025 suggest a modest decline of around 4% in these numbers, the crisis remains at a fever pitch. The slight statistical dip does little to alleviate the visual and human reality of 20,000 unsheltered individuals living on the sidewalks of the city of Los Angeles alone. The texture of homelessness in Los Angeles has also shifted. It is no longer just the chronically homeless suffering from severe mental illness or addiction, although that remains a significant portion of the demographic. The 2024 data revealed a disturbing rise in first-time homelessness among families and the elderly. The economic precariousness of the city means that a single missed paycheck or a rent hike pushes working-class Angelenos out of their apartments and into vehicles or tents. With a median household income of roughly $90,000 in the county, the math simply does not add up when average rents for a two-bedroom apartment hover near $3,000. This is the hidden homelessness that the raw numbers often obscure. The thousands of people living in RVs lined up along boulevards in Venice and the West Valley. Politically, Los Angeles is attempting a massive pivot. Mayor Karen Bass's administration has staked its reputation on the Inside Safe initiative, a program designed to move entire encampments directly into motel rooms and eventually permanent housing. The program has seen successes, moving thousands off the street, but it faces a Sisyphean task. For every person housed, the data suggests more fall into homelessness. The cost of this intervention is astronomical, and critics point out that without stemming the inflow of newly homeless individuals, the city is essentially bailing water out of a sinking ship with a teaspoon. The 64% unsheltered rate in the city remains one of the highest in the developed world, a testament to the failure of the housing first model to keep pace with the poverty first reality. San Diego, the surge and the crackdown. If Los Angeles is the established giant of the crisis, San Diego is the rapidly escalating hotspot. For years, San Diego managed to keep its numbers lower than its northern neighbor. But 2024 marked a turning point. The point-in-time count revealed a shocking 18% increase in the unsheltered population in the region, bringing the total number of homeless individuals to over 4,600. This surge was not evenly distributed. It was highly visible in the downtown area and the riverbeds that crisscross the county. Unlike Los Angeles, which saw a plateau or slight dip, San Diego's crisis is accelerating. The driver in San Diego is almost exclusively economic. The cost of living in San Diego has skyrocketed, with some reports indicating that utility costs and housing prices now rival or even exceed those of San Francisco and Los Angeles. The median household income of roughly $103,000 sounds healthy on paper, but it is insufficient for a city where the poverty rate hovers near 11%, but the real poverty, those unable to afford basic needs, is much higher. The vacancy rate for affordable units is effectively zero. This economic pressure cooker has forced the city's leadership, led by Mayor Todd Gloria, to adopt a tough love approach that contrasts sharply with other West Coast cities. In mid-2023, and continuing through 2024, San Diego implemented and enforced a strict Unsafe Camping Ordinance. This law bans tent encampments in all public spaces if shelter beds are available, and bans them at all times near schools, parks, and transit hubs, regardless of shelter availability. The immediate visual result was a clearing of downtown sidewalks, but the data suggests a dispersion effect. The homeless population didn't disappear. They moved into the San Diego riverbed, deeper into canyons, or into neighboring smaller cities like El Cajon and Chula Vista. This whack-a-mole dynamic complicates the outreach data, as service providers now struggle to locate the very people they are funded to help. The policy creates a cleaner city center for tourists and businesses, but raises serious humanitarian questions about where the 6,000 unsheltered human beings are supposed to go. The crime wave, perception versus reality, parallel to the homelessness crisis, is a pervasive sense of lawlessness that has gripped the public consciousness in both cities. However, the data on crime reveals a complex and often contradictory picture. In Los Angeles, the narrative is dominated by property crime, while homicides and violent crimes have seen reductions from their pandemic-era peaks. Retail theft has exploded. Data from the Council on Criminal Justice indicated that reported shoplifting in Los Angeles was 87% higher in late 2024 compared to 2019 levels. This is not just petty theft, it is organized retail crime that has forced major retailers to lock away basic goods like toothpaste and deodorant, creating a fortress-like atmosphere in daily commerce. This surge in property crime in Los Angeles creates a tax on poverty. When local drugstores close due to theft, as seen in neighborhoods across LA, it creates food and pharmacy deserts that disproportionately affect the elderly and the poor. The 2024 crime statistics show that while you are statistically less likely to be shot in Los Angeles than in previous years, you are significantly more likely to have your car broken into or to witness a smash-and-grab robbery. This degradation of the quality of life crimes contributes to the feeling of a city in decline, fueling the exodus of businesses and the middle class. San Diego presents a different crime paradox. Statistically, it remains one of the safest large cities in the United States. In 2024, the city reported a decrease in overall crime for the third consecutive year, with violent crime rates significantly lower than those in Oakland or San Francisco. However, the perception of safety has eroded. This is largely tied to the visible disorder associated with the homelessness crisis. In the public mind, the presence of encampments, open drug use, and erratic behavior is conflated with crime. While the police data shows a drop in felonies, the volume of citations for public nuisance issues has risen. The crisis in San Diego is less about violent gangs and more about the collapse of social norms in public spaces, leading to a friction between residents and the unhoused population that the police are ill-equipped to solve. The economic root, the 17.7% reality. To solve the twin crises of homelessness and crime, one must look at the bedrock issue, poverty. California's supplemental poverty measure, which accounts for the cost of housing, stands at 17.7%, the highest in the nation. In Los Angeles and San Diego, this percentage represents millions of people. These are not just the unemployed, these are the working poor. In Los Angeles, a full-time worker earning minimum wage cannot afford a one-bedroom apartment in any neighborhood in the city. This mathematical impossibility is the engine that drives the homelessness numbers. The rental market in these cities has become a predatory environment. In San Diego, rent prices increased by double digits post-pandemic. When a household spends 50% or 60% of its income on rent, a single medical emergency, a car repair, or a reduction in hours results in eviction. The 2024 data shows that the inflow into homelessness is driven by economic eviction, not by migration from other states. The myth that homeless people move to California for the weather is debunked by the data. The vast majority of the unhoused in LA and San Diego lived in the county before losing their housing. They are neighbors who fell through the shredding safety net. Furthermore, the poverty crisis is exacerbated by the high cost of goods, utilities, and transportation. San Diego has some of the highest electricity rates in the continental United States. Los Angeles has some of the highest gas prices. These regressive costs hit the poorest residents the hardest. The 17.7% poverty rate is not just a number, it is a description of a population living on a razor's edge. When that edge breaks, they fall onto the street, where they are then subject to the criminal justice system, creating a vicious cycle of poverty, homelessness, and incarceration that costs the taxpayers billions with little result. The mental health and fentanyl factor. No analysis of this crisis is complete without addressing the elephant in the room, the mental health and fentanyl epidemic. While economic factors drive the volume of homelessness, the severity of the crisis on the street is driven by untreated psychosis and synthetic opioids. In Los Angeles County, approximately 25% of the homeless population suffers from a severe mental illness, and a similar percentage struggles with substance abuse. However, on the street, these numbers appear much higher due to the visibility of the symptoms. The introduction of fentanyl has been an accelerant for the crisis in both cities. In San Diego, overdose deaths among the homeless population have skyrocketed. The drug is cheap, potent, and ubiquitous. It complicates outreach efforts, as addiction to fentanyl is incredibly difficult to break without secure medically assisted treatment, resources that are woefully scarce. In Los Angeles, the sight of individuals in states of catatonia or erratic psychosis is common on the metro and in public parks. This public health collapse feeds into the crime narrative, as unpredictable behavior frightens residents and leads to calls for police intervention rather than medical help. The path forward? As 2025 progresses, both Los Angeles and San Diego stand at a crossroads. The strategies are diverging. Los Angeles is doubling down on housing procurement and services, hoping that the inside safe approach will eventually drain the reservoirs of street homelessness. It is a compassionate, expensive, and slow gamble. San Diego is betting on enforcement and regulation, hoping that strict rules will force individuals into the shelter system and restore order to public spaces. It is a pragmatic, controversial, and visually immediate gamble. Conclusion: the California dream was once a promise of prosperity and sunshine. Today, for tens of thousands in Los Angeles and San Diego, it is a fight for survival. The data is clear. The current trajectory is unsustainable. Without a radical realignment of housing policy, wage growth, and mental health infrastructure, the crisis will deepen. The 4% drop in LA offers a glimmer of hope, proving that progress is possible, but the 18% rise in San Diego proves that the tide is still rising. These cities are resilient, culturally vibrant, and economically powerful, but they are currently being tested like never before. The resolution of this crisis will define the legacy of the West Coast for the 21st century. It is a story still being written, one tent, one policy, and one statistic at a time.